Trump has given an interview now, which is nothing short of extraordinary, asked to rule out a recession as a result of the tariffs and as a result of some of the other problems that we have right now in the economy. And he's basically not saying no. So let's take a listen.
And I want to ask you about Ukraine and the blow up the other day with Zelensky. Let me stay on the economy for a moment, because there are rising worries about a slowdown. You've got the Atlanta Federal Reserve saying we're going to have a contraction in the first quarter. Look, I know that you inherited a mess, and you said that the other night.
I've only been here,
but are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition, because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time. It takes a little time. But I think it should be great for us. I mean, I think it should be great. It's going to be great ultimately for the farmer. You know, don't forget,
Before you came into the Oval Office the first time, you were a very successful businessman, very successful real estate executive. And a lot of people said, oh, this is the business president. This is it. He's watching the stock market. He knows all about, he doesn't want the market to go down. And now we've got tariffs and the market has been going down.
Well, not much. I mean, in all fairness,
you said, look, we're going to have a disruption, but we're okay with that. Is that what you meant? The stock market going down was the disruption? What other disruption were you alluding to?
Look, what I have to do is build a strong country. You can't really watch the stock market. If you look at China, they have a 100-year perspective.
If you look at, what did you say? If you look at Canada, they have a 100-year perspective?
Oh,
or
is
did
that
you
what
say China? Because if you said China, that's correct.
That
if you
makes
said
sense.
Canada, not so sure about that. I mean, look, the truth is that the stock market, the S&P in the last month is down by about 5%. I guess, to be fair to Trump, it's down because it went up after he was elected. The market didn't necessarily expect him to be like this. If you look at the last 1 year, the S&P is still up by some 12% or so. But, this is the problem for Trump, is that people are not really that, retrospective, especially people on Wall Street. It's all quarter by quarter, and you got to look at it now, and it's what have you done for me lately? That's how Americans are. And I think the real problem with some of that talk, again, is I don't disagree at all. Of course, how many times have we joked here about stock market as a graph of rich people's feelings, etc. We're going to get to some comments by Scott Bessent, the Secretary of the Treasury, about how the American dream should not be consumption-based. Could not agree more. The issue is that people have got to really feel as if you're presenting a genuine alternative and doing everything possible to actually change the circumstances of their lives. And if we don't have more policy now and in the future, like with the tax bill and others that are not combined, not only with just industrialization, but with immediate relief and feeling as if you're fighting for the average common working person, then you're going to have the divergence where you both will have more difficult consumption. You'll have worse unemployment data, high home prices, and no change to your fundamentals, and your overall retirement portfolio will go down. I mean, you should not forget, we are swimming up against 75 years of basically so-called free trade policy and the consumption-based economy. It's basically the dream that was sold to the American people. And it's not even a dream anymore. They believe it. If anything, it's the conditions of their lives. So you have to basically not only take a whole of government approach, you're also trying to change the American culture at the very same time. And I'm not somebody who would ever bet against telling Americans that actually recession could be fine. And yeah, you should just go ahead and change your consumption-based patterns that you've had for your entire life. Not usually a good way to get elected.
I mean,
what do I know?
It was a shocking response.
It was crazy.
To get asked point blank, are we going to avoid a recession? And he's like,
maybe.
Well, I don't like to predict that. I mean, that is wild. And it does give credence to, the idea that actually they sort of want to maybe not necessarily spark a recession, but certainly to spark a slowdown. And the theory here is basically that the tariffs, without some sort of significant slowdown, crushing of people's wages and ability to consume, and that goes along with slashing the government social safety net and all the austerity that Elon is bringing to bear. For regular people, of course, rich people are getting their tax cut and they're getting their regulators gutted and all that sort of stuff. But for regular people, this mass austerity, the theory is that if you do tariffs without doing that, then you get inflation. So they've decided that the way to crush inflation is basically to screw you over and make it so that you don't have money to spend. That's the sort of theory. And I have to say, with his answer like this, that sounds kind of correct at this point. Not to mention that you have heard, I think it's, Scott Bessent, who has said things that are very similar and more sort of like technical economic jargon. I do think at this point that is probably the plan. We could talk more about this once we play Besant saying like, oh, the American dream shouldn't just be like cheap consumer goods. True, but your agenda that you've laid out and that you're implementing is to shift the economy even more in the direction of the wealthy through those tax cuts, through the social safety net cuts, through getting rid effectively of the CFPB, gutting the SEC, gutting enforcement, through things like we're going to have this crypto reserve fund that we can use to funnel public resources into backstopping the crypto bags of billionaires, through even the foreign policy, which is all geared towards sort of creating new areas of potential exploitation for the rich. So yes, the economy should be rebalanced. Yes, the core of like American prosperity shouldn't just be how much cheap goods can we get at Walmart, but you're going in the total opposite direction of that and just tilting the economy even more in the direction of the rich. It's sort of like Reaganomics and Paul Ryan on steroids.
Well, it's just very confused, and I think that's the easiest way to put it. And if things are confused, people are not going to read the best intentions into it. Now, you also have the Commerce Secretary who has had some wild moments on television. First of all, he did say there will not be a recession while Trump did not rule it out, but he also went off about AI and robots. So guys, let's go ahead and play these two shots back to back just so people can get a full taste that our economy is in very good hands right now. Let's go ahead and play Howard Lutnick.
Anybody who bets against Donald Trump, it's like the same people who thought Donald Trump wasn't a winner a year ago. Donald Trump is a winner. He's going to win for the American people. That's just the way it's going to be. There's going to be no recession in America. What there's going to be is global tariffs are going to come down because President Trump has said, you want to charge us 100%? We're going to charge you 100%. And you know what they say? They say, no, don't charge us 100%. We'll bring ours down. We'll unleash America out to the world, grow our economy in a way we've never grown before. You are going to see over the next 2 years the greatest set of growth coming from America as Americans. You saw it, 1.3 trillion of new investment coming in America. Think of all those jobs. And remember, each trillion of investment in America is 1% of growth GDP. So Donald Trump is bringing growth to America. I would never bet on recession. No chance.
Do you think by moving everything back as you describe it, that they're going to be able to be competitive globally? Aren't prices ultimately going to actually have to rise?
I think if you want to buy things from other countries and you want to bring it into America, then the price is going to rise. But if you make it here, then of course the price won't rise. So make it here. Make it here. How hard is that to say? Just keep repeating it to yourself. There's no tariff if you make it here. So TSMC, the biggest chip manufacturer, says, okay, I'll make it here. You're going to watch everybody come to that realization. Apple, who builds it all in China. Why are they building it all in China and giving us our iPhone? Why don't they make it here? They used to say we don't have...
It's cheaper.
One answer, Mr. Secretary, is that wages are lower over there.
And now there are robots who can do it. You're going to see robotic production of iPhones and the jobs that are going to be created. People who build those factories, the mechanics who work on those robots. These jobs are going to be millions and millions of those jobs. These are great, high-paying jobs, and you don't need a college education to do it.
So yeah, that's what we're dealing with. All right, okay.
The robots are going to do the job. Wait a sec. I mean, you're going to build the robot, so it's going to be great. Like, he kind of let the cat out of the bag with that one. That the way we can keep the prices low is just like AI and robots.
But that's why it drives me nuts, is that it needs to, if we're going to have a coherent, again, I'm very pro-tariff. I'm against a lot of USMCA. The truth is that NAFTA, USMCA have been devastating for the American manufacturer. Fact is that we don't, build or have not only the defense industrial base, the industrial base period that we have here to be like a sustainable and a real country. God forbid that we ever have an actual financial crisis. We're not Russia. We're not China. We're not not India. We don't have policies in place to make sure that we can function in the bad times as well as in the good. But, this type of talk just makes it so completely incoherent. And it makes it, again, so that the American consumer just has no idea what to do. And when they have no idea what to do, they're going to pull back their overall consumer spending. And actually, the fact is that, if you do accept this thing, people have said, oh, who cares about the stock market? It's rich people. Well, I'm going to turn it over to our Treasury Secretary now, because here's the problem. We live in a complete bottom-up economy top-down